Take 3. Now it's recording. Whatever. That's an R. That's supposed to be an R. I totally nailed it. I must have been about 12 years old when somebody first showed me 9gag on the family computer. It was a simpler time. The place was still totally overrun by rage comics, velociraptors, and dick butt. Single image, top text, bottom text, impact font templates were still reigning supreme. DOGE was just a symbol of innocent fun rather than American technocratic fascism. Anonymous users with usernames like Master Bader and Edgelord69 were sending each other death threats over the GIF debate in public comment sections. When I first learned to grasp the concept of a meme, I think I'm gonna put my finger in this hole. One day my cousin and I are sitting on a couch, sporadically showing each other memes in between head soccer matches. When I remember a meme I had seen earlier that day, it was something kind of tame. 2 football players celebrating post-goal, and the caption was, "Mom brought home Nutella." I figure my cousin likes football. Everybody likes Nutella. This is going to be a big hit. I just need to go find it really quick. And I didn't want to look it up online because that's lame. It's not fun to look up a meme. It's like the whole game is that you organically stumble across one that's funny. So I just decided to scroll down and go find it, naively descending into the meme shaft forever. And it takes me really long before I realize that I'm never going to hit the bottom. I'm never going to reach a point where I find it. And it's the first time that the vastness of the internet sort of dawns on me. Eventually I realize it's never going to happen, so I awkwardly describe what I saw to my cousin, and he laughs joylessly, and we move on with our afternoon. But that's the first time that I realized how long you can scroll without getting anywhere. A few years ago, I deleted Instagram off my phone because I had become frustrated with my inability to moderate myself, and a couple of personal experiences with illness and death made me painfully aware of the scarcity of time as a resource. How sad would it be if I looked back on my life when I'm old and I realized that most of it was devoted to watching the feed? I often found myself hovering my thumb over the empty place where the app used to be, but all in all, it was a big improvement in my life. Take 4. It's funny how people talk in a self-aware way about their apprehension towards quitting social media. Yes, most of the time I hate wading through the constant stream of virtual trash. It gives me a feeling of latent existential dread, but then I found the one meme that makes it all worth it. Like we are living through the information age version of the Klondike gold rush. I need to find that next little bit of gold. Take 3. Still, even in retirement, there are a few nuggets of gold that I keep around. Effigies of that time that I was ankle deep in a cold, sludgy feed, sifting through lukewarm funnies and ads that tell me that I should replace doom scrolling with micro-learning. I think that a really good way to mitigate the emptiness that you feel from continuously consuming things without digesting them and then moving on to the next thing to consume is probably to pause and to linger with things that make an impression on you. And that's kind of what I want to do here today. I want to stand still and analyze memes that I like, understand what they make me feel. Exhibit A. She gudgeon on my pintle till I hinge. Oh man. If only I could experience reading this for the first time again with a fresh, virgin mind. It's just such a torpedo of a meme. Many action potentials fire in my brain when I read this. It invokes that feeling of incredulity when a piece of art is so good that it's hard to imagine how someone could have even conceived of it on purpose. So let's address the central source of power behind this meme's torque. It's the jargon, right? Gudgeon and Pintle. If these are not the names of 2 comic relief side character henchmen types,
then who's driving the bus?
Unspeakable cartoon violence is awaiting Gudgeon and Pintle. You and I would have never learned these words if not for this meme. Lest you pursue some kind of career in, like, door making. Are you pursuing a career in door making? I would have never reflected on the heterosexual anatomy of a hinge if not for this meme. I bet it's colloquially common to refer to the two different parts of a hinge in construction as male and female. I know that they do this for plugs and outlets. I was assigned Pintle at birth. I don't believe that the author engineered this meme. Serendipity must have been afoot here. I bet they came by the diagram by accident, and like Michelangelo, they saw the angel in the marble and carved until it was funny. This is art that was discovered, not invented. I only have one gripe, and that's that the original creator did not have the guts to let it stand on its own. Instead, they decided to couch it in this texting context where a faceless protagonist sends it to a person who's not able to appreciate it and asks to sever contact in response. Whether our hero just send a meme he made to an unfamiliar number and that this is the first contact these people ever have, or whether these are long-term acquaintances whose relationship is getting terminated because the POV character overstepped by sharing a shitpost with sexual undertones, we don't know. Frankly, it's not a mystery that intrigues me. All I need is the original elegance of the work. Sometimes I walk around mumbling it to myself. She gudgeon on my pintle till I hinge. Okay, that should be it. Part 2. The problem of being faster than light is that you can only live in darkness. This one comes from the vaults. It's pre-COVID. Carbon dating suggests this meme first came around in 2014-15. I'm using carbon dating because Google Gemini AI thinks that this quote actually came from Sonic the Hedgehog. So at this point, carbon dating is more effective of a method to figure that out, even though it's a digital piece of media. But anyway, I appreciate that the kid has a slightly sickly looking face and a somber expression, which contrasts strikingly with the jovial personality of the character whose costume he is wearing. And I think that the little quote has a nice cadence and succinctly gets to the punchline. But I probably never laughed at this joke. This image feels like a recess encounter with a quiet, sheltered boy who spends most of his time kicking pine cones on the periphery of a playground and telling everybody that comes too close to him that the world is a twisted place, trust me, in an attempt to give the impression that he is a dark, brooding soul, hoping that he will give people an incentive to reach out to him with attention and kindness. Because underneath all the very repellent melodrama, he really is a little sad and lonely, but not for any heavy, sexy, existential reasons, but rather because he's awkward and he doesn't know how to reach out to people himself. When I found this meme for the first time, I wanted to feel like it was funny from a distance. I was a little bit older than this kid in the picture was then, and I wanted to feel like I knew what it's like to encounter one of these dark little weirdos at the jungle gym so that I could laugh at it and categorize myself as normal with the rest of my peers. But now I sort of feel like the recognition was actually way closer to me than I wanted to admit. I used to be a kid like this. While researching this video, I found a vimeo.com link to the short film that the image came from. It's called The Hedgehog by Paul Story and Chris Lee, and I would like to take some time to talk about it. According to the description of The Hedgehog on Vimeo, the film actually won some film festival awards and ostensibly is Chris Lee's and Paul Story's most acclaimed work with that. Philip Herbert, who plays Man in The Hedgehog, used to play one of Jabba the Hutt's cronies in Return of the Jedi, which I just thought was a fun fact to mention. Content warning: depression, suicide, and self-harm. A boy in a Sonic costume, portrayed by actor Peter Brookes, roams around an English suburb on an overcast day. We see him emulating his hero, running around and somersaulting off of shallow hills. He picks up disencanned pull tabs from the ground and puts them in a blue fanny pack, pretending they are rings. We also see him sit around, appearing bored. As he's jogging along a path, he comes to a standstill on the closest thing to Green Hill Zone in his neighborhood. The morose soundtrack trails off, and the boy's immersion in his fantasy world appears to die. The discrepancy between the exciting, colorful fiction of his favorite video game and his drab, real-life environment appears to set in on him. A man on a mobility scooter drives by. He is dressed in red and wears sunglasses, and he has a caged bird. It's a green parakeet. The man has come to the park today to set it free. He opens the cage and the bird bolts out. The man watches it disappear over the low canopy of the park trees into the clear blue sky of a late afternoon. This man obviously resembles Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman, who is also known to wear red clothes and round sunglasses, and uses vehicles to move around in, and powers his robots with captured animals that are set free when Sonic destroys them. Then we get a shot of the boy's face, where the meme comes from. He begins to follow the tracks that Eggman left in the grass. Through a window, the red man watches the boy approach his house. A nest of cables is strewn across the floor at his feet. The man grabs a handful and rips them out of their gaming consoles, somewhat aggressively. As the boy enters the house, we see the man knelt at the side of the bathtub, struggling with the cables. Now inside, the boy enters a blue bedroom, filled with toys and video games. We pan across dusty shelves, figurines, game cartridges, and other nerdy paraphernalia. A homemade Sonic toy lies lifeless on the carpet. We then see the man in the bathroom, with a noose fashioned out of cables around his neck. We see him and the boy, both holding the doll, standing in silence, and then it cuts to black. I guess you either die a Sonic or live long enough to see yourself become a really depressed Eggman. I have an interpretation of this video and I'll give it to you now. I think that the boy and the man are obviously supposed to be the same person, and that the afternoon in the park where the boy is playing and the day that the man releases the parakeet are two different instances in the same life. And I think that the boy choosing to follow the tracks in the grass is a symbol of him heading towards his future. And the shot of the man watching the boy approach through the window reads to me as him reflecting on his life and his childhood. In adult life, the man holds on to nerdy childhood memorabilia that used to make him happy, even though their ability to anesthetize him have significantly waned. And now that he's remembering that really dull day in the park, he ponders the possibility that maybe video games stopped being an effective distraction much earlier than he realized, and that he was already holding on to something that was fading back then. Now he lives an isolated life. His sedentary lifestyle from playing video games has compromised his health and mobility, and he's alone. I'm not going to make a point out of this film, but I'm really glad that I found it. It turns out that the ironic contrast between Sonic being upbeat and the kid being morose was intended in the source material. And I feel like I have a more complete understanding of the meme, and it's dearer to me now. Number 3. Box jumping. Before I deleted Instagram off my phone, I had already decided that I wanted to curb the pointlessness of doom scrolling by saving memes that I found funny and then scroll through those instead. I figured that by browsing a finite selection of slightly higher quality garbage, I would, give the memes that I'm watching a little bit more room to grow and have it be a bit more meaningful. Obviously, this experiment was not a huge success. While it was well intentioned, it's kind of like quitting smoking by vaping. You maintain the habit, and the chance that you relapse is really high. Okay, so for research purposes of this video, I went back to those saved memes, and the thing that I discovered is that I had saved several box jumping tutorials. I'm sure you've seen this. It's this thing where people look like they're floating as they're like running around.
Slick back. No, nigga, I'm a pimp named Slick back.
I just thought it was really cool, I guess, and I had really told myself that I was gonna take an afternoon one day and learn it. It just seems like a fun card to have up your sleeve. That just it tickled me, and I wanted to mention it here. And I kind of wanted to promise that I will do that, because it is a better use of your time than doom scrolling. So in a future video, you will see footage of me box jumping. So this is me from the future. I'm editing right now. You can tell that I'm different because I've shaved. Yeah, I did a little bit of research because I wanted to find some good footage for the title card, and I googled box jumping because that's the word that I learned the move under. Like that's like what the move was called when I first stumbled upon it, and I thought that that's what it's called. And then I looked it up on YouTube, and it turns out that box jumping, if you search box jumping tutorial, all you get is people in gyms jumping on literal boxes. Even though, like, from what I understand, it's supposed to be called box jumping because you're like jumping onto an imaginary box. Because you're supposed to like, I guess, like envision that you're stepping on a box that's not there, and then this is your foot that's on the imaginary box, and you're supposed to like step over it or something. I don't know. Or I guess it would be like this, like you step to the next box. And I was like, oh right, of course that's not what it's called. I'm sure that's what it's called after having gone through after having been passed around a million times and being slightly, I don't know, like word of mouth, game of telephone, like lost in translation, more synonyms for the same thing. But yeah, I did some research and I found that the move originally went viral in 2022 with a guy called Jubi2Fi. The move is also often called after him. It's often called the Jubislide. And sometimes called the ABB after the song that he originally performed it on. And I watched an interview with him on Good Day Sacramento, where he tries to explain how to do the move to these two talk show hosts. And it's really charming. But in that, he mentions that he is not really, like, he doesn't deserve the complete credit for it because he was also very inspired by BCU marching bands, which I'm European. I didn't know what that meant, so I had to look it up. And it turns out that BCU stands for Bethune-Cookman University. I probably butchered that, but it's a historically black university, and apparently they have really cool like marching bands for football like sports events. I watched this one by like the BCU Marching Wildcats, and it was really sick. And I can definitely imagine how that kind of dancing and that kind of choreography inspires a move like the Jubislide. So I don't know. I thought that was really cool. I wanted to share that sort of origin, or at least from what I understand the origin to be. And yeah, I don't know. Like again, similar with the Sonic meme, it just the move and the meme are more valuable to me now. Like they feel more grounded in the world, and I think that's really cool. So yeah. Anyway, that's just my little interlude here. See you later. That's pretty good. The fourth one. One Piece, Steve Jobs, and Ligma.
It's so sad Steve Jobs died of Ligma.
Who the hell is Steve Jobs?
Ligma balls.
I do not remember how I found this video, but I think it's amazing. First of all, what a script. It's so sad Steve Jobs died of Ligma. Who the hell is Steve Jobs? Ligma balls. That's watertight. It's a twist on an old classic. Hey, did you hear about Ligma? What is Ligma? Assalamu alaikum.
I am Muslim.
There's also a strain of anti-humor here because Zorro is so unprepared for the question that he doesn't even trigger the trap correctly, which normally should come back to bite the trap setter in the ass.
Do you like apples?
No.
Except Kuma just goes ahead and obliterates him anyway. It's the bully's tautology. Who knows if Kuma even heard what you said? There's nothing you could have done to prevent the outcome, because he is just bulldozing through like an eldritch force. Death was imminent and the outcome is inevitable. I really wanted to find where Luffy's no scream at the end comes from. I thought maybe it was from Michael Scott in The Office, but Luffy is a little bit bassier in timbre and the pitch is lower. I just love that it's an entirely different genre of voice than Zoro or Kuma in this clip. Maybe there's a film buff out there that can tell me, with their working knowledge of stock audio footage, that obviously this was lifted from the 1980s torture porn cult classic film Birth in the Barbed Wire or something. It doesn't really matter. I just think that these 10 seconds are an incredible moment of eldritch horror comedy. It's been hard to track down where this meme first surfaced, but it likely stems from around 2019 to 2020, right after the 2018 Ninja Died of Ligma fiasco, where it was alleged that Ninja, the biggest Twitch streamer at the time, had died of the disease, which is commonly cited as the world's most viral instance since its 1990 literary boom. From what I can tell, there are many versions of this meme with this exact audio. The earliest upload of the One Piece version is not the oldest iteration I could find. It was uploaded on the 17th of August 2020, but there's also a version of this meme that uses the same audio with a scene from Watchmen where Dr. Manhattan... spoilers. That was uploaded on the 17th of January 2020. Then there's a video with a different audio but the same script, uploaded in 2019, that uses the Watchmen comic. I also found a video from 18 years ago where a man destroys his computer. Even though it's not the first iteration, I think the One Piece version is the best fit for the script, and I would like to argue why. Just to give a quick summary of the context, I'm sure you know that Luffy is the main character of One Piece. He's the one that wears the same straw hat that his crew is named after and that appears on the pirate flag that has been popular in protest movements around the world lately. The green-haired swordsman is called Zoro, and the guy with the bear ears is called Kuma. This scene is taken from the Sabaody archipelago arc, which is a scene where the Straw Hats have a friend called Kami who gets kidnapped by human traffickers and sold to an auction, and then they try to rescue her by bidding for her, but one of the world's nobility appears called Carlos, and he outbids them. The world nobles are just the worst people in the world. They're protected by the world government, which allows them to just shoot people willy-nilly if they don't like them. And they wear these helmets that protect them from breathing the same air as common folk. And they make their slaves wear exploding collars in case that they try to escape or misbehave. For plot reasons, Carlos also ends up shooting one of the friends of the Straw Hats, which in turn causes Luffy to throw the most satisfying punch in fiction. Unfortunately, this does draw the ire of the world government, and chaos ensues immediately. Because the Straw Hats run into Kuma, who is one of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, which is this group of super powerful pirates that have been granted immunity by the world government in exchange for them being a little bit more chill. And at the same time, a Navy admiral arrives on the other side of the archipelago, which in the One Piece world is essentially a human nuke, and he starts wreaking havoc looking for the Straw Hats as well. The Straw Hats have faced Kuma once before, and from that experience they learned that he has a terrifying ability to just make people disappear. But now he is just shooting his cyborg death rays at them, so, that's also chill. They spend an entire chapter taking him down together, only for him to be immediately replaced by this guy and another Kuma, from which they surmise that more Kumas could just pop up at any moment. On top of all that, now the Admiral has arrived, so the Straw Hats are in really obvious trouble, and they attempt to escape, but they're having a really rough go of it. They keep getting knocked around. Zoro is still bleeding from previous fights, so he has to be carried. And then a third Kuma appears, holding a Bible. Ostensibly, it's the original. In an ominously casual manner, considering everything that's happening, Kuma asks Zoro a very plain question, like he's trying to break the ice on a dating app. If you were to take a trip, where would you want to go? After which Zoro gets fucking erased from existence. One after another, Kuma begins to make every member of the Straw Hat crew disappear, while Luffy looks on powerlessly and tries to chase after Kuma like a dog chases a plane in the sky, and Kuma just keeps zooming across the battlefield, while Luffy begins to beg in an uncharacteristically desperate way, "Stop! Stop! It's enough!" Falling to his knees in fallen to his knees in horror and grief, Luffy begins to cry and heave frustratedly. What's wrong with me? I couldn't save a single one of them. Right before Luffy himself is swept away by the cyborg's enormous palm, Kuma utters the following words: "We will never meet again. Farewell." Chapter 513 is concluded with a narrator's parting words. That day, the Straw Hat Pirates, led by Monkey D. Luffy, were eradicated. It's one of the most dire and dramatic moments of the show. And it just so happens that the Steve Jobs Ligma audio perfectly overlays the choreography of the Straw Hats' annihilation at the hands of Kuma. It turns out that Kuma doesn't actually kill anybody here, but rather sends them flying for 3 days and 3 nights across the ocean. And to determine the destination they'll arrive at, he has to ask his victim a question. If you were to take a trip, where would you want to go? Even if they don't say anything, the victim will naturally form an answer in their heart. And when Kuma hits them, they'll be sent to a location that satisfies their answer. So for example, Zoro feels weak and he's been loathing his weakness, so he is sent to a sword master who can make him stronger. So in a twist, not only did Kuma help the Straw Hat Pirates escape the world government, they also ended up benefiting from the location that they were sent to, allowing them to reunite as a stronger crew later down the line. Kuma essentially performed an incredible feat of sleight of hand, but I don't really care. What's more important is that his spell requires the victim to answer a question, just like the Ligma situation. The only difference is that Kuma's power leaves no room for evasion. You do not have to say anything for it to trigger. What matters is the voice of your heart. And now we know exactly what Zoro's heart said. I'm pretty sure that Zoro knew who Steve Jobs was. What the hell is Ligma? Lastly, 5-7.
She believe me because I ain't always sitting, but I think she will leave me if she knew I was itty bitty. I don't want pity, just please.
5-7 is an original song by fictional character TJ Mack, who is an original character by comedian and actor Brian Jordan Alvarez. TJ Mack has an accent that I think Americans think sounds European. 5-7 is a song about TJ Mack lying to his wife about how tall he is. He is 5'7", his wife thinks that he's 5'9", and we are basically witnessing the moment that he's built up the courage to confess this to her. He's telling us before he tells her. I'm imagining that his wife is just this absolute gnome of a human being, just tiny, tiny woman from whose perspective everybody just seems enormous and the 2-inch difference would not register. I guess it's a funny character. To sing itty bitty so passionately is funny. The accent's alright. The filter adds a little bit. Look, I don't want to analyze this video. 5-7 got duetted by a person named Jorn Swart. And now I just think it's absolutely beautiful. Thanks for doing this. Do you want to maybe like introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Jorn. I'm a pianist. In the last few years, I've sort of gravitated to a couple of different things. So I have like a peaceful piano project called Doeke, Doeke, which is like actually just trying to write some beautiful, simple melodies, simple harmonies, but something I stand by, something I think is pretty and beautiful, something I would listen to myself. It's my piano string theory account, which is a lot of music theory things. Like it's either educational, like doing little how to play stride piano in 5 steps, and it's like short little videos. I love chords. I love like when I really started getting serious about music was when I was introduced by my teacher to jazz harmony. Just the world of harmony was just like amazing to me. And I think it goes for a lot of jazz musicians. And sometimes, they do it too much. Reharmonizations can be completely unnecessary, but they can still be really fun to do. And especially in a more comedic context, like the 5-7 song. I noticed, I started noticing a few years ago that putting that onto either speech, so it could be like a scene from The Office or Seinfeld or something, and turning the speech itself into melodies, transcribing that, and then trying to put harmonies on that, and suddenly turning that into a song was working really well.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
I just really enjoy doing. I think it's funny, and like and it seems to also like resonate. Like it does well on social media, which is something we can talk about too, just like
We will. I love how Jordan matches the little vocal lead up that Brian Jordan Alvarez does into the like chorus. And then this walk down after the line, "Please don't laugh at me with my wife," is actually just beautiful. It's not funny at all anymore. It's confessional and heartbreaking and sensitive and courageous. Brian Jordan Alvarez's vocals actually kind of turn out to be really nice. It's got this masculine sensitivity that I can only really get from Drinking Age by Cameron Winter. I'm not even short, and I get real goosebumps when I listen to this version. I guess maybe I'll explain more specifically what I'm trying to do with this video. You're already saying a lot of things that I find interesting. Like earlier you said the phrase, the algorithm decided that it wasn't good art or something, which is like such an like interesting way to like sort of think about how what you're posting is like how it's valued, I guess. And like that's pretty much directly related to how how I came to even make the video that I'm trying to make right now. So I reached out to you because I saw a video by Brian Jordan Alvarez. It's called 5-7. It's a funny song about a guy who lies to his wife about his height, which is kind of ridiculous. And the first time I even saw that video, it was your version, was like your duet with him, where you like did your accompaniment with him, and I thought it was so interesting because you like you were able to like add like a layer of like harmonic complexity that totally shifted the like emotional feel for me, and now I don't even think it's a funny song anymore. I think it's just actually touching. I don't know, like I've had goosebumps revisiting that video. But like that and a few other videos that or few other memes that I'm discussing are these little like diamonds in the rough for me, where all of us have had this experience in this day and age where we scroll for forever, and then by the end of it, you feel terrible because you're just consuming a bunch of empty stuff, and it's not even being fed to you with any kind of reason. Like there's an algorithm that decides what's good, like you said earlier. And also what you said earlier about how you have all this like harmonic understanding that you use when you make your videos. That's all really in there. And I think that you can maybe make the case that it's sort of true for many of these memes. And I think that maybe a lot of that emptiness that we feel from scrolling so much is because like we're totally not engaging with I hate the word engagement in this context, but we're like not engaging with the human element of it. That like somebody made this, whether they thought it was funny or whether they like heard a joke song and thought it was pretty. I wanted to highlight some of these memes that I've liked over the years and that I've actually remembered and kind of like yeah, like give them a little like spotlight and be like, this is actually more than what we see it as. Like I think it's more valuable. And what I specifically feel about your choice to reharmonize these things and like find these funny little like videos actually musical and try to bring that out. Like I feel like that kind of agrees with my point. I feel like if you do that, like you hear that song and you think, "Oh, that's actually pretty. I
Mm.
actually want to use my like education in jazz music and whatever, like and show that it's pretty, I guess." Like I don't know if you agree with this, but like
When I
that's kind
saw,
of
you mean the original video of 5/7?
yeah.
Like, you're asking if I saw something in there that was not just, oh, it's just funny, but there's actually something beautiful in it, and I can get it out by using my skill to make it, get that emotional value out of it.
Yeah, I feel like that sort of like implicitly agrees with me. But how do you feel about that video? Like do you like that video? Are you proud
The
of it?
original
Yeah, or like, do you
or the one I
like
made?
both? Do you like the original video, and are you proud of the video that you
Yeah.
made yourself with it? How do you
I
feel
think that
about
was a really that was I was very happy with that one. Sometimes it's really trial and error, and sometimes it just works out, and you try some stuff, and then it's like, yeah, that walk down, oh, that was really sort of, yeah, what you're saying. It just adds this sort of dramatic, emotional feeling to what he's singing about. It's about, he has been lying about his height to his wife. It's such a funny concept, but it is true that I think there's something emotional about it, and I was happy to be able to get that out. But it really, like, I mean, I can say, that's I was trying to do that. It's just like it really sometimes it's just hit or miss. That's kind of the truth also with art or any sort of art form. You just like you try out stuff, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And if it works out, it's great.
Hmm.
Uh, but it really kind of depends. Yeah, and if especially if I'm able to, yeah, use my harmonic stuff in a way that I think is tasteful, like I there's some depth to it, and but it works. It's very satisfying to me.
So yeah, and I really want to live my life feeling like looking back on it at the end and thinking like, oh man, I'm glad I didn't spend all of it watching the feed.